we are. We're recording right now. Welcome everyone to the Open Chat with Certified Trainers. And my name is Leslie Altman. I'm going to start with, let's go to this tab. As an Australian, it is customary for us to acknowledge the country on which we stand. So I'm going to do that right now. I acknowledge the traditional custodians of this land. I acknowledge their elders, past, present, and emerging, who were and continue to be the storytellers of this ancient land and its peoples. So here I am in Australia, and we'll go to the next, zoom out a little bit. That's where we're presenting from today. I'm in Australia, I'm Leslie Altman, and Stephanie is in Ohio in the US, and Avid is 10 p.m. in United Kingdom. So let's meet our presenters today. I'm Leslie Altman. I'm digital mentor and coach here in New South Wales, Australia. Stephanie Howell is instructional tech coach in Ohio in the US, and Abid Patel is IT director in London, UK. And each one of us are going to take a 15-minute segment to help you understand the process of applying for a certified trainer, and also at the end we're going to have like a round robin and talk about, so what do you do when you do become a trainer? So I'm going to work through, very briefly, I'm going to work through the application. I'm going to time myself now, and I've taken some screenshots of the application. You need to go to, I just Googled Google Certified Trainer, and I was able to find it, and drop down the tab to professional expertise, and you will find the curriculum and application process here. And oh, we know those people. They're lovely people. So the first screen you might see would be the Let's Get Started, explaining about the application process. You would then go on and add your personal information, your name and so forth, email. Use an email. It's preferable to use a personal email, because if you use your school email and change, it takes a whole lot of effort to have all of your Google activities, applications, certificates, they all need to be then changed over into your personal account. It's a good idea as your secondary account to use your school account, because then it's a really great way for Google to find out which schools have Google trainers in them and so forth. So that will give Google an opportunity to gather that data, but your primary email should be a personal one. We're lucky that there are so many different opportunities for people who, have a different language. I think there's about 25 or something now that are available, and another 3 or 4 are being developed as we speak. You need to give your school or organisational details and the country in which you reside. You need to add your training expertise here, and like even the fact you're probably the IT go-to person in your school, and you would be offering small trainings, and then you might offer something at a staff meeting, and then you might be asked to offer something at maybe a big school curriculum day. So they're trainings, and you need to keep a record of those. And you need to be able to gather 5 recent Google specified, not on other platforms, but a Google specified training that you've conducted, and that's what you're going to need to put in your application. If you it's a really good idea if you have been working with a particular trainer and they've referred you to this program. It's a really good way to acknowledge that. And this is your maintenance level. You're expected to conduct at least 12 trainings each year. That's been changed a little bit in support of what trainers have been doing over the last 2 years during COVID. And you need to show evidence of your Google education certificates. Don't upload the badge. You need to upload your PDF certificate. and it needs to be current. Stephanie's going to be looking at the case study in depth in her 15-minute session, and the case study is really the best one of those 5 trainings that you would like to focus on for your application. And also Abbott is going to focus on the aspects of the trainer video. So over to you now, Stephanie. So do you want me to stop sharing so you can work through your slide deck, or do you want me to just keep clicking?
I can share my screen since I have control issues. Yeah, that'd be great.
I should stop sharing now.
So as I'm getting set up, hi everyone, my name is Stephanie. I have been a trainer for about, I want to say it's been 4 years. And I've loved every minute of it, mostly because of the community. So when you become a Google trainer, you get dumped into this Google group, and it's crazy. I think at first I was like, what is this? And why are people emailing at all times of the day? But it was actually amazing. I was able to go in and I'm able to ask, hey, I need this help. And you got 10 different resources right at your fingertips. I don't think I've had to create a presentation from scratch for 4 years. So just the community is like the favorite part of being a Google trainer for me. So we're going to walk through the case study. So some of the tips and tricks when it comes to the case studies is I would suggest drafting your responses in a Google document first. So they do have an online portal that Leslie walked through, but I would suggest kind of taking a Google document, typing all your responses there, and then copying and pasting it over to the portal. You might want to share it with a friend to just kind of look over, make sure you didn't miss anything. Leslie always gives me the best feedback, so I'm going to offer Leslie and her services for that. But yeah, just sharing it with a friend and having someone look it over, just making sure you didn't miss anything. And then any links that you do, make sure anybody with the link can view. If something is private, if something cannot be seen, they will not look at it. They will not accept it usually. So I really suggest making sure every link is viewable, share it with a friend, make sure, double check everything. And then if it says include a link, include a link. So some of it will say that piece. So the first part is reflection. You're thinking about a training that you have led. So Leslie suggested you have 5 trainings that you've listed, make it your best one. So with that, you're thinking, okay, what made it really good quality? What materials did I provide to the audience? What feedback was given from the participants? You always want to include that feedback form. So that way you know what ways you can improve in your trainings and how can you become a better trainer. So I'm going to go ahead and we're going to explore. So I went ahead and put the case study in a Google Doc, and I'll share this in the chat. I believe we're sharing the slides as well. But if you want to go ahead and just kind of follow along or make a copy of this and add some notes as we're talking, feel free to do that. So with the case study, what it's asking is first, it's asking you to describe that training. They're asking you how you demonstrated a tool. They're also asking you to show the effective and efficient ways that you integrated this tool into the classroom. So some of the look fors that they're looking for is like an I do, you do, we do type of model. So maybe I did this first, then we did it together, and now we're gonna we do. Actually, that should be written. That's wrong. But it should be I do, we do, you do. So that should be kind of the order. You're slowly releasing control to your teachers, and you're kind of modeling it like you would with students. You're walking them through first, and then you are talking about, okay, what can we do together to kind of learn this? And then it's, okay, you go try it. You go make your own Google form. You go make your own Google slide, whatever the topic is. Video demonstrations. So when I became a Google trainer, they accept videos, they accept blog posts, they accept podcasts as those 12 trainings, which is kind of cool because it doesn't have to be you standing in front of a crowd. So maybe even provide some gifts or some videos for your audience to come back to after the section so that they can reinforce what they learn. I also like to include visuals. So that way people know where to click because I click really fast. So taking a screenshot of the screen and then maybe getting like a red box or red arrow to show, click here. That can really help too when you are giving these different trainings. So again, think about how did I demonstrate that training? And then how was it effective, or what ways can they use this in their classroom? So if you're talking about Google Forms, maybe you're talking about, hey, this can be used as an exit ticket. You can use it as a quiz. You can use it as a entrance ticket where students are coming in. What do you think you know about this topic? Okay, so kind of applying it to the classroom as well. Also, there's word limits, so make sure you stay within those word limits. And do not go over. I don't think it will let you go over. It kind of turns red, but make sure that you are staying in those word limits when you're working on that Google Doc. And then the next question. So it's asking you for what actions did you take to engage your adult learners in this training? How did you differentiate the training for the different abilities in the room? So a lot of times when you are giving trainings, that you are going to have someone who has no idea where they're at, and then you've got that advanced learner that is listening to podcasts, that is able to understand some of the features that you're talking about. So what are you going to do to differentiate? What are you going to do to engage those learners? So some things that I've seen and I've used is choice boards. I might have 3 different choices. And if I'm doing Google Forms, for example, I might say, okay, just add a question. That might be level 1, where level 3 might be using data validation. So I can hit all of those different ranges in one session, and I'm able to quickly get information from my audience. Also, I like to give a pretest. What information do they already know? What information do they not know? Where's the audience kind of at? And then based on that test, I'm able to decide, okay, what kind of choices do I need to make on that choice board? Or what type of activities do I need to use? Or when I give work time for them to explore, I need to really work with this group of people. And then your interactivity. Make sure it's interactive. A lot of times with tech, we've got to click. And so we've got to make sure that people are clicking through those trainings and they're able to follow along, but we also give them time to practice. And then the third question is provide any links to at least one training material that you've created. So for this, you might use Google Sites for your Google training material. You might use documents, a presentation like in slides or videos. So they are looking for documents. Again, provide links. Make sure your link is accessible by anybody with the link. Super important there, and include a link. They want to see what materials are you using. Some people create a Google site with all of their training materials with multiple different links and things that they're going to do. Other people have linked like a one-pager. They might not give out their presentation during a session, but they have a one-pager that kind of goes over everything that was covered during the lesson, and then they send that out to their audience. Some people do a Google Slides presentation. When I did my case study, I uploaded a Google Slides presentation. And then the fourth one, they're looking for that feedback. So what they want you to do is, based on those 5 most recent trainings and case studies that you've had, they want your feedback. So what I like to do is on my trainings, I just use the same kind of Google form to receive feedback. And I give it at the end of every single training. That way I can see what I need to do to improve, what has gone well. And again, they want you to link it. So you've got to have evidence here. So here are 2 different examples. And if you hit make a copy, it's going to make a copy of this Google form. And again, there's 2 different examples here, and you can kind of decide which one you want to use, or you can create your own, or you can adapt and customize the one here. But it's just like a quick rating scale. How much did you learn? How much did you grow in the result of the training? And then 2 questions. What was great about the training? How could the training improve? Again, short, it doesn't need to be super long. They just want to make sure that you are getting feedback from your audience. This one is a little bit longer. It has a rating scale, and then it does have open-ended questions. So again, just a way to get feedback, and they want you to link it so that way they can just kind of see what feedback you're getting. And number 5, after you review your feedback, How are you going to improve the training? What are you going to do differently? And so when you're looking at that Google responses or the Google sheet of your attendees and what they said about this training, you're doing a reflection and you're looking for an area of improvement. Do not say, oh, I'm perfect. Nothing needs to be changed. Find some type of area. We all can grow. And so looking at that feedback, is it you talk too fast? Because that's my issue. Is it you click too fast? Is it, hey, I would really like some more visuals, or next time I do this training, I want to provide more of a choice board, or next time I do this training, I want to provide a one-pager for my audience or guided notes that they can fill out as they're listening. So think about what ways you can review that feedback from your attendees, and then you're just going to write and reflect on how you would improve that training if you were to do it again. All right, Abid.
Thank you very much, Stephanie.
Yeah, very good. Any questions that you, sorry, Abid, any questions that people want to ask, pop it in the chat and we'll address it each at the end of the next session. So Abid's on a roll about video.
Cool. Thank you very much. Thank you very much, Leslie. Yeah, some really great insights there, both into the application and also the case study. So I'll be talking about the video aspect, and having worked with quite a lot of prospective trainers over the last couple of years, I think, and what was also my own experience was the fact that I feel like the video can be the most daunting aspect. And I guess COVID has kind of changed our view on videos, because a lot of us moved online and a lot of us started to record our content for students in schools. So we've kind of become a bit more accustomed to taking video of ourselves and that kind of stuff. But it can still be daunting, you know, because the makeup of the video is basically, it's a 3-minute video about your and it's split into 2 sections. So it's 3 minutes. The first section is 1 minute long, and the second section is makes up the remainder of the 2 minutes. Like Stephanie said about the case study, stick to those timings. I think that's really, really important. Keep the first section to no more than 60 seconds, and the second section, keep that to just at 2 minutes. So what are the sections about? So the first section, the first 60 seconds is about yourself and why you want to be a trainer. And I think the most important aspect of that is basically to sell yourself. So I will share my screen here. So we've got here the application video tips. So it's a 1-minute introduction about yourself, and then a 2-minute demo of a tool, something in Google Workspace that you are demonstrating to the audience. And I'll focus on the first minute. It literally is selling yourself. The way to look at that is basically, we're all doing wonderful and amazing things in our schools, in education as a whole. And I think what is really, really important is about selling ourselves and making ourselves look as though we are celebrating what we are doing. I think we're very guilty of not sharing the great stuff that we do. We're very guilty on focusing sometimes on the things that we do wrong. And I think this 1-minute video introduction gives you a real nice opportunity to sell yourself. Talk about what you're doing and be yourself. You don't have to try to be someone you're not. Be yourself. Look at the camera and just talk naturally. You can, if you want to help yourself, write a script. I did when I did my trainer video. I actually wrote a script and read it. But what I like to do is I always tell people, try to keep it natural. So before I talk about the second minute, one thing I always like to show is how did I actually go about recording the video. Now, again, through COVID and stuff like that, we've some of us have got nice video setups, and we've got webcams all around us and things like that. At the time I did it, I didn't have any of that, and this was basically how I made up my my makeshift recording studio. Was basically what you can see there is a laptop cart or a laptop trolley, and then I put a little stool on top. And if I don't think you can see my cursor, but you can see on top of the stool there, you can see where my script was, and then you can see I've marked 2 X's on the carpet, and that's where I was actually standing. And then I propped my video on top of my camera on top of the stool, and that's how I basically recorded my video. And I would go behind the camera, press record, come to the front, count myself down visually so that I could see. So I'd be like 5, 4, 3, 2, 1 in my head, and then I would go. So I knew, having looked at the piece when I need to edit it, where I needed to start. And then basically I just read. I kind of used my script as a guide, but I also talked about myself. What I will do is I will play my video in the background. I won't put the sound on, but you can see what the finished part of that looks like. So you can see there me standing. So you're now seeing the other side of the school library that I'm on. I put a bit of an overlay. You can see here my Twitter handle and the Google ET hashtag. So hashtag Google ET is the official hashtag for the trainer program. And you can see I'm just there naturally, just talking about myself and why I want to be a trainer. And celebrate what you do. Tell the person who's going to be watching your video, marking your video, what it is that you do, and what it is that you can bring to the program. And I think it's just having that positive outlook on it, is just sharing what you're doing. Yeah, feel free to add some overlays and things like that. It's not entirely. By no means is anyone looking for your production value. So you don't need something that is a Hollywood production. It doesn't have to have great effects. Even if you are just recording yourself on a camera in front of your background, that is absolutely fine. What the people who are marking your application are looking for is they're looking for the content and celebrating what you do. So on to the next piece. So as you can see here, this now is the start of the 2-minute demo. And basically I decided to do a demonstration of how to create a self-marking quiz within Google Forms. And it can be anything. It can be anything to do with Google Workspace. It can be anything to do with Google Workspace. It can also be anything to do with Google Chrome. If there's something that you do in Google Chrome that is useful, that is also a valid training thing. But I would personally, I would stick to whatever it is. There's lots of stuff in Google Chrome. You can show all sorts of things. You can show how you use the Explore button in Google Slides to add images into slides. You can talk about Jamboard and how to add a background to a Jamboard. You can talk about Classroom and how you can share to multiple classes. There are loads of things that you could do. Find something that you're passionate about. Find something that you're comfortable with, and then factor that into a 2-minute demonstration. How do you record the demonstration? So there are loads of tools out there, but 2 of the most popular ones are Screencastify. Screencastify is a really useful tool to record your screen, and there's also Loom for education. Loom is actually free for all educators, and you get some of the premium features, and you get access to record 45 minutes of video, which is more than enough for what we need. And if you just go to loom.com/education, you can sign up for a free account. And once they approve it, you'll get access to that. And then you simply just record your screen. And I think quite a lot of us now are quite familiar with recording our screens. If you're looking for some sort of inspiration as to what you want to what other people did for their videos, I would simply go onto YouTube and search Google Certified Trainer videos. You can see here there are loads of trainer videos that people have made public, and you can go through and watch them. And a lot of it is, again, very, very similar. You can see they're all around the 3-minute mark, which is great there. And just watch those videos and get inspiration. That's basically how I did it. One thing that I also did is I added some background music. It's always great to add some background music just to make it feel a bit nicer. Again, it's not something that is absolutely necessary, but if you are looking for some background music, always look for royalty-free music so it doesn't get blocked. There is this website here, bensound.com, and then there's also the YouTube audio library. So those are two great places that you can find some background music from. And then finally, how do you edit the video? So there are loads of video editors out there. One of the most popular ones, and probably one of the easiest ones that I find online, is WeVideo. You can start using WeVideo for absolutely free. And I think it allows you to create a video of up to 5 minutes per month on the free subscription. And again, that's going to be more than enough for what you need it for. You can also use iMovie. If you've got a subscription, you can also use Final Cut Pro. There's Adobe Premiere. So those are quite expensive premium video editors, but anything like that will do. If you have an iOS device, you'll have access to iMovie, the free iMovie. You can either use an iPad or you can use an iPhone, or if you've got a MacBook, you'll also have the free iMovie on there as well. So those are a few aspects of the video. And one thing I will say is before you submit your application, feel free to reach out on Twitter. Remember the hashtag that I mentioned, hashtag GoogleET. If you post a tweet on Twitter and say, could I get some feedback on my video, then you'll find that there'll be more than enough people within the community who'll be happy to look at your video and give you feedback on it, and give you let you know some pointers. And one final thing that I'll finish on is always make sure to remember the permission settings for all of your resources, whether it's the case study or anything like that. Always make sure you've made it public, and also the way I would say is test those in an incognito window. So you don't have to make your video public on YouTube if you upload it to YouTube, but make sure you either make it public or unlisted. That way, make sure you don't make it private, otherwise no one will be able to watch it. But the best way to do is once you've uploaded it, copy that link, open it up in an incognito window, and then if it works, then you're all good to go.
Yeah, thanks, Abid. That's really, really good. Patricia's got a question there for you, Abid. How important is the video editing? This is not my strength.
I think, yeah, one thing I will say is my trainer video was actually the first video I'd ever recorded of myself and edited myself. And it can be daunting, absolutely. But again, it's not about the Hollywood production aspect of it. It's just about getting used to the tools. WeVideo is a really great one, I would say, because it is really simple. It's really basic. It's built around students, so that they're not throwing all of these film buzzwords at you about transitions and that kind of stuff. So you wouldn't have to worry about that. And I would just say go into WeVideo and have a play. But if you're looking for guides, there are plenty of guides on YouTube that you can watch. Especially with WeVideo, you've got the amazing Jen Lieben, who's done a whole load of amazing guides for WeVideo, and it's great to use to get started with. And well, Patricia, you work with Jen Lieben, so I think
Have her edit it for you.
I think there's not much more I need to say on that.
Yeah, we won't say a word about that. Oh, that's great, Abby. Thank you so much.
And I didn't edit my video. I just recorded mine using Screencastify. I think I re-recorded 9 times because I was so nervous. But I submitted me. I submitted unedited me.
Okay, that's good. It's good to hear.
It was where I had to transition from the me video to the training video. I just had to work out how to do that because I didn't know then how to do that.
Go ahead, Patricia. I know you're going to come off mute.
Oh, I don't know. Can you hear me?
Yeah.
Okay. Well, that is good to hear because I didn't edit my coach video that I submitted, and I also recorded that like 10 times. But I didn't know if that was necessary because I literally, I had a one-on-one with Jen, and that was like back in September because we're both coaches in the same company. But she's awesome, and I'm under her WeVideo account. So I haven't dabbled with it a lot, but I recorded with Loom for the coach application, and it was okay. But I didn't know if that was something that they're looking for. Like, are they looking for like the overlays and all of that stuff? No. Okay. Good.
I don't think they are.
You're not going for a job at Netflix. You're fine.
Now, if you were going for a job at Netflix, maybe.
There was one other question from someone who's not here, and I want to honor her question as well. Can I use videos that I've made in the past? And I'll jump in there. I used a video that I'd made the previous month because I thought, well, I've made this video. It was for the teacher audience and the workspace G Suite then, but the workspace I was working in was up to date. It would be a real giveaway if you used a video that you created a year ago and all the features have not been updated. So that would be something to watch. Anyone else want to add to that?
I would just check the time limit. That'd be my only concern with reusing something.
Yeah, mine are usually only short.
Yeah.
I would agree, Leslie. I think it's probably better to record something that's current and present, especially with Google Workspace. Just an example of my video, I recorded that in October 2019, and a lot of the overlay that you see there, a lot of the interface of Google Forms has changed completely in that time, and Google Workspace is evolving every single day, and new features are always coming out. So I think it's always better to have the most current content when you submit your application.
So one of the big points was in all of our conversations as we were presenting, excuse me, is to make sure that it is accessible to your audience. And one great way to do it is to create a folder in your Drive and make that folder accessible to anyone with a link. So once you start putting documents and images and certificates of your PDF certificates inside that folder, they inherit that right anyway. So you've almost got all of your work, ready to share. And it's a good idea to double check, of course. It's also a good idea to give your video to someone who isn't a teacher, your cousin or friend who will look at it and say, I don't know what you're talking about. Whereas if you give it to someone and they are a novice and they're watching it and think, oh, yeah, I learned something in that. So that's really a little final test on your draft to make sure that you do come across to people who are trying to learn. Big point is all of your trainings must be for teachers. They can't be for your students. You can't be giving a training to a group of, year 10 students on a particular aspect. Yeah, that's a training, but that's not what Google are looking for. They are looking for trainings that are for are for teachers. I don't think there were any other questions on. I mean, Stephanie gave examples of case studies. Tips and pointers were there. I'm just going through the questions that were submitted.
I'll just add to that. In addition to teachers, you can also do non-teaching staff within the school as well.
Of course.
So, for example, you might have office staff, office-based staff, finance teams, that kind of stuff. But if you're showing them, I don't know, how to use Google Workspace to, improve productivity or save time, that kind of stuff. So long as it's school-based staff, that would be fine as well.
So I'm just looking at the chat messages there. Are there any more questions on the application or the case study or the video before we open it up and talk about, what can we do as new trainers? So any questions now, if anyone wants to unmute and ask any questions on what we've done so far. Okay, so what I'll do quickly is just share. I'll share back on this. And I'll go past. I've added Stephanie's link that she put in. Oh, more. I'll fix that soon.
It's also hyperlinked on the case study slide.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
I saw it underneath as I put it in that slide. Just going past her work and Abbott's work there. And there were a few questions that came up about how do you proceed with the 12 trainings within a year. And there's a few other questions there. But what I'll do is I'll jump in straight away. That if your school does not allow you to do trainings, and that happens sometimes, like sometimes you've got to find an audience somewhere else, or you've got to give it after school. Another place to find an audience to present to practice your skills and to share your knowledge is in a GEG group, a Google Educator group. Have a look and see where they are near you and join that group and say, look, I'm new and I want to practice my skills. Can I share, 2-minute presentation with you and I need feedback? So that's another place that you can ask for that help. Anyone else, Abbott or Stephanie, do you want to add anything there to any of the questions that are listed there so far?
Yeah, and for the 12 trainings, again, it doesn't have to be all in person. It can be virtual. It can be on a YouTube video that you pre-recorded and sent it out. It can be on a podcast, a blog post. So multiple different ways that you can provide training once you become a Google trainer.
Yeah, good point. And evaluating the training sessions there. I mean, Stephanie looked at, and both Abbott and Stephanie did look at some of the evaluation opportunities there. But you need to know if your information got across. Did they learn something? And then you look at the feedback and say, well, did I learn something? Oh, right. My graphics need to be a bit clearer. Or I need to talk faster or slower or so forth. That last one there, but how do you develop impactful and useful training materials?
I think get to know your teachers and what do they find as valuable. I know for me, I've had teachers that love Potty PD, where I post a little flyer in the bathroom for them to kind of review about different tips and tricks or Google updates. I've also done one-pagers. Some of my teachers love it. Some of my teachers hate it. Just kind of depends on your audience. So I would just kind of get to know your audience if you are working with the same amount of teachers every time. But I definitely think visuals help. So having a slide deck where they can review the material at a later date is really, really helpful.
Absolutely, and you can get loads of images through, searching for images through slides by, inserting an image and going out to the web, because you're using images that you do have permission to use. And there are loads of other free icon platforms that you can use to, just to draw attention to to that learning. And it's like what we do with our students. When our students need visuals, our students need the wording to be bigger so they can read it, or bold in certain areas and add more graphics and add a video link. So we're all learners.
Leslie, I'll just share a slide that we've been delivering as part of the Diverse Educators program, and it had some good tips there about creating good content.
And that's okay to share as we're recording?
Yes, yeah, absolutely. It's out there for all, for anyone who wants to become trainers. But one of the things that we shared as part of the Diverse Educators program is basically, especially if you're working with your if you're working with a group of people that you work with regularly. So if you're delivering training sessions to your school staff, think about pre-training surveys. Maybe trying to gauge your audience, asking them where they feel they might be at, giving them open-ended questions and an opportunity. So like we've done for this session, having a form beforehand, are there any questions that you can think of? But then also during the training session, depending on how much time you have, think of things like handouts and checklists. Think about whether it's digital or paper based. If it's digital and you've got other educators with you using Chrome devices, for example, you can allow them to force copy templates and things like that. Having icebreakers, maybe. What I also think works really powerful in a training session is giving the audience the opportunity to have a go themselves. So it doesn't just become death by Google slide where you're just presenting at them. I think having that opportunity to have some interactivity, and also having that Q&A and some interactive fun things like a Kahoot, and then also at the end having that exit ticket, something that they can take away with them, but also not forgetting to ask them to fill out a feedback form and a survey, because I think that's really, really powerful for you as a trainer and for you to grow, is so you can understand where you might want to improve your own delivery, and you can get some really great feedback from people when you deliver sessions.
Thanks, Avid. I've just put our feedback for GlobalGEG. I've just popped that into the chat. So if you copy that out and give some feedback, so we can continue to grow. We can continue to give timely and helpful tips on becoming a trainer. But when I became a trainer in 2019, I did it all by myself, which is really not a good thing to do. And I realized how wonderful the training community was. The Google community is very, very supportive. And I didn't take an opportunity to become part of that as my growth. So I struggled through and I got my trainer and I made it like it was like this. And then I realized that other people may do the same thing. So I started the Open Chat with trainers probably in August in 2019, and asking our Sydney 19 group to come on board, our innovator group to come on board and help out if they were trainers. And then this circle widened, and then it widened even more to become a GlobalGEG event. But it was really important to be able to chat with trainers because, you know, we're not all scary bunch. We can sit down, have a chat, share. I mean, Abba's just shared his trainer video and share so many ideas, and Stephanie shared all of those ideas. So if you do have any questions, we've got our our Twitter handles on the slide deck. Make sure that you do get in contact with us. And if we don't know, we just, you know, find someone who does. The training community is really very helpful, and it's a community. Abed and Stephanie, do you want to add anything else, or anyone else wants to ask a question? We've got a few minutes left. We had a small group, and we've got a few minutes left, so please unmute, jump on board.
Well, I'll jump in and put Jasmine on the spot, and I'll say, so Jasmine has very recently become a Google certified trainer. So Jasmine, how congratulations first of all on becoming a trainer. But how did you find the application experience, and how are you finding the community aspect of it now?
I think, like Leslie said, I think it's not nice if you do it on your own. The fact that because I joined the diversity, I got to meet great people, along with meeting Abid as well. Lawrence, who was obviously in charge of it, you know, it was amazing. I think just getting help from each other. We even started having our own little catch-up sessions as well, because our diversity group was every 2 weeks, and more or less in between that, we used to have our own little catch-up sessions within our groups, just to sort of like have general chats. And it was just great to actually just get to know each other and just see how everybody else was really getting on with it. So yeah, the application side was pretty daunting at first, but I think with the help of Abid and also Lawrence and everybody else within the actual group, they were absolutely great. So I think if it wasn't for them, I wouldn't be where I am today anyway. So so thank you very much for that.
Yeah, agreed. And Abid's got very broad shoulders. He takes all our stirring comments and jokes. We practice on Abid.
Absolutely. One thing I will say about the wider community aspect of doing the application together. So as part of that diverse educators cohort, one thing that one of the trainers in there did was they created a WhatsApp group, and now a lot of that cohort have now become trainers, but it becomes an ongoing support community.
We're forever on that, aren't we, Abid? We're forever putting stuff on there. I added something this morning, for example. You know, it's just great to actually just reach out to people, because I've got people in my work group who are asking me, because I know I'm a trainer now. They're asking me, oh, can you find out if you can do this in Google? Can you do this? Can you do that? So it's all the schools that we support within our work environment. You know, they're all coming to me to ask, and I said, I'll go and ask. I'll speak to my Google group and find out if they can do it, or see what they advise. You know, it's just great to reach out to people.
Yeah, it's very powerful to be able to go to a community that you can trust and ask a question. And if one person doesn't know, there are another 10 or 15 or 70 that will jump on board and give you feedback. It's really good.
Yeah, it's amazing.
And you're role modeling the importance of being part of a community that is outside your staff room door.
Yes.
Because some teachers don't get that. That they, you know, that the whole learning experience is not inside the staff room. You need to step out. You need to go to Twitter. You need to go to WhatsApp. You need to become a trainer and find that community to grow.
I agree.
And then my last piece of advice is just submit it. If you get it back, you can redo it. So just submit it. Take the feedback, and if you need to redo it, it's not the end of the world. Just fix it and resubmit. No one will know that you had to redo it 20 times.
Patricia's like, do we check the certifications we currently have on the evaluation form? Yeah, make sure that they're current, because I've got a note to say that I've been given an extension by Grace for level 1 because I think it's due on the 29th, and I thought, I'll do it on the 28th. Well, no, they're starting to give me a week's grace now. So yeah, make sure that those certificates are up to date for you. Yeah, just double check everything, and and then get one of your your colleagues to check it. Fresh eyes. You know what it's like when you're trying to write something for students or something for parents. It's fresh eyes that pick something up. So find someone that you can trust to check it out.
Actually, one question.
If you are applying for trainer, then the requirements are you need to have level 1, level 2, and also have completed the trainer skills assessment. So if you need support with those, you can go to the Google Teacher Center, where you've got loads and loads of resources. But we've also got a GlobalGEG bootcamp coming up at some point this summer. So that's also another option there for gauging that support. But that's the most important thing, is making sure, even if you do have those certifications only, that they are current at the time of your application. That is the most important thing. That they need to be valid, and I think the validity is 3 years, isn't it, for level 1 and level 2 certification. So that's just something to be aware of.
Okay, thanks so much. I've just written in there that the recording of this will be posted on the calendar invite, and I'll tidy it up a little bit, and I'll publish it on the GlobalGEG YouTube account, so it will be there for you to check and to share. So if there's no more questions, we might draw this to a close, and I'll stop the recording now. Any more questions?
One quick one, actually. I believe once you become a Google trainer, you get entitled to your own Google domain.
Yes.
Has anybody actually used that?
Yeah.
I know. In regards to that, have you guys used it and find it very useful?
Yep, where I'm in it now.
Okay.
And Stephanie's using hers. I've got two, I use that trainer domain extensively now.
Okay.
Yeah, it is it's a very valuable tool for you as a trainer to not only use, gathering your information and so forth, but you can create pretend class groups. And then when you are presenting, you can say, well, if this was turned on for the students, because you're in charge, you can turn it all on. If this was open for the students, this is what they could see. So you can switch back and forth from teacher to student view very easily. Very valuable.
Do you get the recording option for Google Meet in that, or no?
No.
Not currently, but I think they're working on it.
Okay.
I would highly suggest getting it set up. I waited to get it set up, but it's just nice. It's nice to have an account for all of your stuff outside of work, like training stuff and everything like that, and then your work account, because if you ever leave, you have everything that you might need. Or if you have, there's times where people do pay me for trainings outside of my contractual day and everything like that. And so it's nice to use that account instead of my school account, because then it can get kind of mixed. You also get access to the Google admin console.
Yes.
So there's times where I'm like, hey, I saw this in the trainer group, and I'll go to my IT team because I don't have access at my school, and I'm like, they said you could turn this on.
And I know how to do it. Would you like me to show you?
Yeah. And so then I can kind of help them or show them, or I have more understanding of how that works. And it just helps when I'm explaining things to teachers. So I would suggest getting it. It is kind of complicated to set up, but set it up.
I think I might reach out to Abbott for that.
Yep. I would do that. Absolutely. And then Abbott just walks you through it. I mean, I think he took 4 hours for us, and then because we kept interrupting him.
Yeah, no, Luis Pertuz, one of our fellow founders at GlobalGEG, and myself, we've been trawling through the trainer community, and there are lots of there are other IT admins there supporting as well. But one thing I will say about the trainer domain is it is a real live Google Workspace domain. Yeah. So you have access to Google support as well. So if there's something that you've always wanted to ask Google support, whether it's work related or you have a problem when you're using your own trainer domain, you can reach out to the support 24/7, 365 days a year. It's available to you, and you can just reach out to them and say, hey, look, I'm having this issue, can someone support me? And you've got that option. So it is a very, very good perk that you get as part of
and
becoming
also, Abid, with all the
researcher.
other perks that we can access as a trainer, you really need to have a platform to house those in. So you apply for those perks using your Google Trainer domain, so you can have a look at the pro version of different applications and platforms that we are offered for long-term or 6 months or 12 months. Thanks everyone. That brings our session to a close, and thank you so much, Stephanie and Abid. And we wish everyone good luck in their applications and their new training journey. Bye for now.